Madman Marcum and his time machine. My name is Bill. Welcome to the Night Terrors Weekend Show. Welcome to, oh no, it's Taco and Eldergrown. By the way, here's our schedule on YouTube and Twitch. Tonight, we are live on Twitch and YouTube at the same time, Saturday night. But do not forget to join us Wednesday night on Twitch for a double feature movie night. By the way, that double feature is Beat the Devil and 7 Days in May. Beat the Devil, I guess, is a famous John Huston film that never really got the attention it deserved because they cut it to the studio cut it to pieces. But this is the restored version of the director's original vision, and you're going to love it. This is also a viewer request for that particular movie, followed by 7 Days in May, an apocalyptic takeover of the government, of the U.S. government by the military. And don't forget over on Rumble. There's the Rumble. Don't forget over on Rumble, the old shows are now airing. The old classic shows are now airing Monday through Friday in order. So don't forget to go over there on Rumble and see them. And good evening to Zerithian. Green Tea has arrived, as well as David Bryce. I know I missed somebody. Who did I miss? Synchro 505 is here. Welcome, Michael. Repeat gifting tier one stuff. Elder Gone with a massive donation on YouTube. Thank you, Elder. Topic suggestion: Roman Dodecahedrons. Oh, that's a good one, Elder. That is going on the list. Thank you, sir. And I'm going to put it there right now. And there it is. First up, of course, Madman Marcum and his time machine. Anyone else here that I missed? T-Ceratops is here. Jack11 says good evening. And Mennonites Make Great Things is here. The Mennonite likes it on YouTube. Green Tea has 2 suggestions. Thank you, Green Tea. Copying that now. Trying to copy that now. Got it. Now moving it to the list. Great. Elder says he's going to watch on YouTube. Verpine is here. Welcome, Verpine. There's one from Taco. Thank you, Taco. Taco always comes up with good ones. Where is Tabitha Tuders? Sounds excellent. Moving that into the place. All right. Zerithian really likes the Madman Marcum topic. Yes, he first appeared on Art Bell. We'll be covering in detail in a second. Rhinosaurus Rex says hello. All right. Okay, let's get rid of this. First up, Madman Marcum. Here at byburke.net is a story ostensibly by Burke, although he's not credited on this page, entitled The Backyard Inventor Who Claims He Built a Time Machine. Ooh, Taco with another good suggestion. Thank you, Taco. Let me grab that too. All right. And Burke begins. In a sleepy town in Missouri, an eccentric amateur named Mike Marcum was quietly tinkering away at an impossible dream, trying to build a time machine in his own backyard. While the idea seemed straight out of a sci-fi movie, Marcum's story managed to capture minds across the nation in the 90s and early 2000s. It all started when the 21-year-old Marcum, who had an aptitude for electronics, despite lacking formal training, was trying to build a variant of a Jacob's ladder. And I have some images of Jacob's ladder here somewhere. Here we go. That's a Jacob's ladder. The energy actually flows from the bottom to the top of the wires, like here, and then starts all over again. So they're constantly going from, the electrical discharge is constantly traveling from the bottom to the top of the wires. There's a pretty one. Yeah, don't attempt this at home. There's a tremendous amount of energy involved in this. Do not attempt this at home. And here's one idiot who tried to make one with components from a microwave. Doesn't look like it worked out too well. Don't do that at home either. Microwaves are dangerous. So let's get rid of these. Get back to the story. However, instead of climbing electrical arcs as he expected, Marcum claimed he accidentally created a shimmering energy vortex, or distortion field, hovering above his contraption. Yeah, it was using industrial size transformers, right, that he borrowed. In an act of curiosity and bravery, or perhaps foolishness, Marcum began tossing objects into this mysterious vortex, only to have them disappear and reappear seconds later, a couple of feet away. He became convinced he had actually built a crude time machine, capable of displacing objects briefly into the future. This backyard science experiment could have remained a quirky local legend, if not for the involvement of the paranormal radio host, Art Bell. Bell caught wind of Marcum's claims of inventing a time machine and managed to get the young man to tell his story over the airwaves on Coast to Coast AM. While Marcum admitted his device seemed only to work on a small scale, sending objects forward by mere seconds, he came across as genuine during the interview. He demonstrated a working knowledge of electrical engineering principles, seemingly beyond his young age and limited education. Some theoretical physicists even admitted that Marcum's high-voltage approach was not completely ridiculous if time travel were possible. This nationwide exposure unlocked a floodgate of support and offers to help the aspiring inventor, or the madman as Bell referred to him. People donated equipment, funds, and even access to warehouses and industrial power sources to allow Marcum to upscale his time machine prototype. Over the next year, riding on this wave of publicity, Marcum constructed increasingly powerful versions of his device, culminating in a 15-foot-tall behemoth powered by 3 million volts. It used rotating magnetic fields to create a plasma tornado, an effect that he claimed could displace objects across both time and space. According to the madman, his tests grew bolder, eventually causing a couch to completely disappear, unfortunately while his cat was still sitting upon it, leading to his remorseful quip, "What a waste of a perfectly good couch." He claimed to have successfully sent baseballs, bits of wood, and small animals into the future, and eventually himself through the vortex, being displaced up to 2 years into the future, with temporary amnesia before finding himself hundreds of miles away. Despite these mind-bending claims, Marcum seemed to lack the ego or arrogance that often accompanies such fantastic tales. In his radio interviews, he comes across as humble and grounded, not seeking fame or glory, but simply wanting to share his inadvertent discoveries and get assistance from others to further his research. Poor kitty cat, says Taco. His strange story seemingly fell dormant for several years until Art Bell managed to reconnect with him in 2015. In this later interview, he provided an update that he had not given up on his time travel ambitions and was seeking to rebuild his time machine once again through the help of crowdsourced funding. Of course, Marcum's tale, as enthralling as it may be, should be approached with a hefty dose of skepticism. But that's not for us. The skepticism is not for us. Here's a Yahoo update at yahoo.com news, written by Liz Dowell. Update: Madman Marcum's bizarre radio confession. This dated December of just this last year. St. Louis. In October, we covered the story of Madman Marcum, who seemingly vanished after claiming to have invented a time machine and appearing on Art Bell's Coast to Coast radio show. Fox 2 confirmed that he spent time in jail in 1995. Here evidently is his mugshot. I never thought this was his real picture, but evidently this is the real guy. Can we open a new tab? Yeah, open image in new tab. Let's take a look at this. Evidently that's the real Madman Marcum at Albany Sheriff Department in Missouri. Dated January 30th, 1995. I guess after he arrested it was when he went public. Recently, we discovered audio has emerged featuring Marcum on Bell's other show, Midnight in the Desert. On that show, Marcum recounts his journey trying to create the time machine. He goes into the details of how he created it, what it looked like, and how a person would enter it. Marcum stole transformers from St. Joseph Light and Power. It was a generating station in King City, Missouri. A 1995 report from the Stanbury Police Department confirms the theft. He told Bell that he had spent 60 days in jail and 5 years on probation. Marcum claimed to have moved to Overland Park, Kansas, where he continued his goal to make a time machine, but legally. He dedicated 18 months to significant tests involving live subjects, that is to say, hamsters and guinea pigs. Sounds like a case for the ASPCA. He reappeared on Coast to Coast and stated he was 30 days away from making his totally legal time machine, after achieving what he deemed successful results with animals. Marcum decided to enter the time machine himself. Marcum explained, objects disappeared and then reappeared again. If I remember correctly, he said, I tossed in about 200 objects and animals in total, conducting over 200 tests. In the audio, Marcum explained how he jumped into the time machine and claimed he woke up 800 miles away, 2 years and 2 months later. According to him, the electromagnetic fields took a toll, leading to immediate amnesia. Marcum said, in short, it feels like I got hit with a flashbang. I wake up and I'm 800 miles east of there 2 years later. Marcum has not made it known to Fox 2 if he is still alive. And the Missouri Highway State Patrol still does not have him listed as a missing person. There are those who claim to have met him and talked to him. Well, you're only a missing person if someone reports you, right? And if you're a loner, who's going to report you as a missing person? Here it looks like some kind of wiki. This is at hatch.kookscience. A whole page about Michael Madman Marcum. Press coverage, arrest and incarceration. 8th of February, 1995. And that's before Coast to Coast. That's correct. Time machine gets its inventor time behind bars. He stole a transformer to power it, police say. Another article, newspaper article at St. Joseph News Press. Better living through science. Another at the Kansas City Star. Time machine builders arrest thwarts ambitious time travel plans. The journey apparently requires transformers. Missouri man is accused of stealing 3. I think he says in his extended story that they weren't using the transformers at the time. He didn't take down the city power. They were just laying around, evidently, available to the public. They're heavy though, so you gotta plan ahead to borrow one. Do not attempt this at home. It says here originally from Gallipoli, Ohio, or Gallipolis, Ohio, and worked at a plant that makes cardboard tubes for toilet paper rolls. Well, no wonder he wanted to make a time machine. The sheriff said Marcum apparently has some aptitude for electronics. He hooked up one of the transformers to the fuse box at his home and made a Jacob's ladder, a V-shaped antenna with electrical sparks arcing from one side to the other. At the St. Joseph News Press, Marcum waves right to a hearing. That's from 16 February. All this still before the radio show. A long time before. It started in February, his problems. Time machine inventor hopes device will let him win the lottery, it says. And then 2 days later, the same press source, St. Joseph News Press in St. Joseph, Missouri. Inventor with eyes on future ordered to do his time in jail. Then his coast-to-coast interviews, one in April of 95, months after his, maybe right after he got out of internment, maybe. Then his post-Bell appearances. Here's a Wayback Machine, which is an article about all the experiments in detail. Going from the first test to the scaled-up time machine, pros and cons of publicity. Well, it gave him lots of money to build a full-size one, right? Guinea pigs as guinea pigs. One of the donations that Marcum received was warehouse space, so he wouldn't blow up his apartment. Marcum was given several tons of transformer laminations he used for electromagnetic cores and generators, so Kansas City Power and Light could breathe easier. Liquid helium cascaded transformers that he used to make 3 million volts, and the list goes on. This it used to be available on the web. It is no longer. I used the Wayback Machine to get this one. This is called nexus-marcum.pdf. And this is evidently the way you spell Marcum. Right there. What's the upshot at the end? He's still not sure how he traveled in time, but he has an idea. I'm guessing I moved through hyperspace. Now Marcum lives off odd jobs in Ohio, surfs the internet, and reads the occasional scientific journal. Anytime you see closed time-like curves mentioned, that's a code word for time travel, he said. Because career scientists do not want to talk publicly about building time machines. Is that all we have? What do we have? Time travel claims and urban legends. Oh, here's like a list. This is a Wikipedia list of a comprehensive list. Oh, well, it's not really comprehensive. I found the comprehensive one. Here's Madman Marcum. In 1995, a caller to Art Bell's syndicated radio show, Coast to Coast AM, claimed to have discovered a means of time travel using a Jacob's ladder. In attempting to build a larger version of this device, Marcum admitted he had stolen several power transformers from the local power company, St. Joseph Light and Power in King City, Missouri, using them to power his time machine. He caused a local blackout that brought him to the attention of authorities. Police records confirm he had been arrested for the theft and sentenced to 60 days in jail plus a suspended sentence. He called the radio show again the next year, stating he was building a second time machine from parts acquired legally, and was 30 days from completing the device. In 2015, Bell interviewed him again on Midnight in the Desert, where Marcum claimed he had been transported 2 years into the future. He suffered amnesia after the transport While living in a homeless shelter, Marcum slowly remembered his name, social security number, and other memories that enabled him to re-enter society. Well, he has a good memory if he remembers his social security number. However, the Missouri State Highway Patrol has no record of him being reported as a missing person, which, as I said, you need someone to report you. It's not an automatic. And they have other stuff here, like the Mobley and Jourdain experience in Paris, Chaplin's time travel, it's a famous photograph. The hipster at a bridge opening, another photograph. Mobile device in 1943, another photo. Rudolph Fentz, the Rudolph Fentz time travel story. Madman Marcum, John Titor, Bob White and Jim Jones, I'm not familiar with. Andrew Carlson, I am familiar with. Håkan Nordqvist, I'm familiar with. An iPhone in an 1860 painting. That I'd like to see. Where's that going to open up? Right here? Oh, yeah, check this out. An iPhone in an 1860 painting. Can I go a page up with this? Yeah. Oh, yeah. You wouldn't be able to see the iPhone if it didn't have that white thing on top, whatever that is. Maybe it's the case cover. And someone lying in wait with flowers. Good evening, Kengagong. Win the lottery, a sensible goal, says Eldergrown. Here's a more extensive list of time travel claims. More comprehensive, let's say. Mobley Jourdain, Charlie Chaplin. South Fork Bridge reopening. Not familiar with that one. Photo, not a photo. Rudolph Fentz. Titanic, not a photo. John Titor, not a... Photos are involved, but not based on a photo. Mike Marcum, the Philadelphia experiment. The Iranian time machine. That was an interesting one. You guys remember that one? That's also here over in the Wikipedia. Where is that? Did I lose the Wikipedia? Lost the Wikipedia. We better check here then. Iranian time machine. In April 2013, the Iranian news agency Fars carried a story claiming a 27-year-old Iranian scientist had invented a time machine that allowed people to see into the future. A few days later, the story was removed and replaced with a story quoting an Iranian government official that no such device had been registered. Yeah, like the government's going to tell the truth, right? Ronald Mullen, I never heard of. Ronald Lawrence Mullen is a scientist and theoretical physicist working on a time machine to go back to 1955 to save his father's life. The time machine was made, and Ronald's father later passed away in 2010. Ronald is now making his time machine a little faster. This is one of the signs that time travel may be possible soon. Well, I never heard of that one. I got to do some of these, right? I never heard of Ronald Mullen. I'm going to bookmark this. Bookmark tab, right? Bookmark current tab. Thank you. Greta Thunberg. Another photo-based one. Victor Goddard. That I've covered. Jot them down, Bill, says Elder. Yeah, I saved the website. Just saved it. Adam Archon. A video uploaded on YouTube by Apex TV. Yeah, Apex TV is loaded full of, on YouTube, is loaded full of time traveler stories. Most of which they made themselves. Most of which they made themselves. Allegedly. They're interesting, though. Andrew Carlson, that I know. Modern phone in 1860 painting. Die Glocke. The German time machine. The Montauk Project. Sergei Ponomarenko. Marcum proceeded to show people pictures he claimed he'd taken on his camera in Kiev, Ukraine. After they had been developed, authorities found that the images did indeed show Kiev in the 50s. And they also showed him with an unnamed woman, as well as an image that Marcum claimed showed a UFO. I don't know why that starts in the middle. The chronovisor, we've done that. Bob White. In 2002, a mysterious email started showing up in seemingly random inboxes that were purported to be sent by a time traveler stuck in the 21st century. Some people managed to contact him by email, and they spoke to Bob White, a man who really wants to get his hands on a dimensional warp generator. Yeah, some of these are good, man. Taco says a silent black helicopter just flew over my place. Oh my goodness. Welcome, One Sean Bond. Welcome, Big Al1. Hey, you guys, don't forget. Double feature movie coming up this Wednesday with Beat the Devil in the director's cut, so you can understand it finally. Followed by 7 Days in May, the classic early 60s apocalyptic takeover of the U.S. government by the military. Two good movies coming up. This coming Wednesday, only on Twitch, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Next up, we have a suggestion by Verpine. And that is... Lost Ship in the California Desert. Did we do this one already? Lost Ship in the California Desert. Okay, California ship. Ship will go 1027. Got it. I don't think we did. The Lost Ship of the California Desert is a local legend about a ship that is said to be buried beneath the sands of the Colorado Desert. I did not know there was a desert in Colorado. I must be an idiot. The Wikipedia page. 5 facts about the lost ship of the California Desert. Mysterious call. Let's check that one out. Thank you, Verpine. This from last week, actually. Eldergrown confirms that was suggested last week, but we didn't get to it. Dickamos, you said ship, right? Yes, ship. Rhinosaurus Rex with a suggestion. Thank you, Rhino. Got it. Let me move it to a good place. Got it. Here's a story at desertsun.com by Kristen Sharkey, entitled 2 years ago, a mysterious phone call sent me searching for a lost ship in the desert. This is the shoreline of the Salton Sea near North Shore, says the caption. And Ms. Sharkey begins, 2 years ago, I received a mysterious phone call to my office in Palm Springs. A man on the line told me he needed to speak to the editor of Desert Magazine, John Grasson. I said, I don't know anyone here by that name. The confusion was understandable. Out here in the California desert, there is a historical regional publication, Desert Magazine, now defunct, as well as my publication, Desert Magazine, which I oversee as part of the USA Today network. That day I learned of a third version, Desert Magazine with a Z, published from 2010 to 14. The man asked if I knew about the lost ship of the desert. I did not. He said he had a picture of himself sitting on the vessel as a child. I had absolutely no idea what he was talking about, and he would offer no more information, since I wasn't John Grasson. So he hung up. I haven't spoken to him since, but I did track down Grasson and the legend of the lost ship. It sounds implausible at first, and yet local lore abounds. Could it be buried beneath the Salton Sea or the Imperial Valley? Theories range from Spanish to Viking and everything in between. But what started as a chance encounter eventually turned into a 2-year journey across Southern California and down to Baja. As I discovered oral tradition shapes this story differently depending on where and who you are. To this day, people continue to be pulled in by the tides of the lost ship legend. As much a reflection of the desire for solitude that defines homesteaders in this region, as it is a reminder that settlement originally came at a cost to the colonials. I spent time in Baja with Desert Sun photojournalist Omar Ornelas, who has covered the U.S.-Mexico border for 15 years to conduct interviews in both English and Spanish. I want to know about the one in Colorado. I don't care about 100 different legends along the coast. Oh, it just says California Desert here. It is California Desert anyway. Huh. Here's 5 facts about the lost ship of the desert, what we actually know. Again by Kristen Sharkey at desertsun.com. Is it the same source? The same publication? I believe so. Yeah, at Desert Magazine, right? Or from Desert Magazine. It sounds implausible, right? There's no way a historic ship is buried beneath the California desert, begins Kristen. Number 1, it's been a legend for centuries. Magazines, newspapers, and books across the world have long perpetuated the legend that a ship is buried beneath the desert floor. In 1870, Philadelphia's Evening Telegraph called it a marvelous story about a ship high and dry on a Colorado desert. That may be the first tale. Kenga Kong says she totally fell asleep an hour before last Wednesday's movie and woke an hour after it ended. We understand, Kenga. Don't forget this upcoming Wednesday's movie upcoming on Twitch this Wednesday, hosted by Gotcha Man. Billows of sand beating about her. In 1875, British publishing house Chapman and Hall released poet Joaquin Miller's book of verse, The Ship in the Desert. There are documented sightings. Number 2, there are reports of sightings around the Salton Sea and Imperial Valley, extending as far south as Mexico's Baja Peninsula, though first-hand accounts are rare. In 1870, for example, explorer Albert S. Evans was traveling to San Bernardino in California when he claimed to have stumbled upon the remains of the ship. The moon threw a track of shimmering light upon the wreck of a gallant ship, Evans wrote in the Galaxy magazine in 1870, which might have gone down there centuries ago when the bold Spanish adventurers were pushing their way northwest. Number 3, it is not uncommon for shipwrecks to last 500 years, especially if they're underwater. Pierce Paul Chrisman, an associate professor at the University of Arizona and a worker at the Laboratory of Tree Ring Research, says wood can survive an amazingly long time in certain parts of the desert, depending on environmental conditions. While the type of wood can be a determining factor, Ships are expected to be critter resistant to marine worms or termites, Cressman says. It's not uncommon for entire vessels to last 100 years. In Egypt, buried ships dating to 2700 years BC still exist in good condition. Well, that's more than 500 years. That's 4,700 years. But if an area is prone to wet and dry cycles, such as rain, floods, or a river that rises and falls, Cressman cautions, the opportunity for preservation is considerably reduced, unless, as I said, it's underwater, and then you have, if it's deep enough, it will be preserved. One man wanted a permit to dig. Excuse me. In the early 70s, Lawrence Justice sought permission to enter the Anza Borrego Desert State Park in Borrego Springs, California, for the purpose of locating certain artifacts, according to documents obtained by the Desert Sun. Here's a newspaper clipping from the time. From an unidentified publication, one of the last photos of Larry Justice, who reportedly found the lost ship of the desert, with a cigarette hanging from his lip. His attorney first contacted the California Department of Parks and Rec in 1974, and then 2 years later with a proposal to enter an agreement with Justice and the Imperial Valley College Museum in El Centro, California, to secure an antiquities permit, after which he would be able to keep all gold, all silver, and all of the rare stones he found. Good luck on that. The state answered back with a resounding no. But included in the California State Parks and Rec files is an old black and white photo of Justice wearing dark sunglasses from an unidentified publication. It's still a mystery if he actually did find the lost ship. Most scholars are skeptical. A surprising number 5 there. Well, are there any other reports about Larry Justice that we can find? Larry Justice, who reportedly found the lost ship of the desert. Copy that. Oh, we have to go back to the search, right? Okay. Paste it. And the lost ship of the desert there at Wikipedia. Lost ship of the desert at the Desert Sun. Images of Justice. At Grunge, the most bizarre unsolved mysteries of the Wild West. Paver list. Well, Larry Justice, full name was probably Lawrence, right? Do we know anything about this guy? Like how old he was or anything? It says around 1975. Is that what the story says? Duplicate tab. Do we still have that? We don't have it anymore. Unless we go here, maybe. Here it is, from the Desert Sun. No, it was under the 5 items, and that was here. 5 facts. All right. What do we know about him? How old does he look there? Maybe 45? 50? I'd say 45 or 50. That's in 75. Included in the state parks files. 74. So if he was 45, so born in approximately 1930? Is that right? Yeah. Born about 1930. Lawrence Justice, huh? How common is the name Justice? Lawrence Justice. Let's try to find him with Lawrence Justice. Larry, huh? Lawrence. Genealogy. Records. Lawrence W. Justice. He's in the 1930 U.S. Census here. Larry Justice. Larry D. Justice, born in 1943. He could have been 35. He looked a little long in the tooth, though, for 35. Let's open in a new tab. That guy does not look 35, man. To me, that guy looks like 50. You see, it's hard to tell from the photo, though. Larry Justice. He couldn't have been 35. That was one beat-up-looking 35-year-old. Justice Lawrence. Born around 1930. Lawrence Justice. What if his name was really Larry Justice? It might have just been Larry. Born in 43, died 1930. Larry A. Justice from 1963. Born in 1903, 1952. Monkey Man Justice, huh? But born in 52. Larry Justice, address and phone number. No, he's not going to be alive anymore, right? No, maybe. Justice family history. Born around 1930. No, it's not spelled justice. Let's try it with AI. Where's the AI? Here it is. Sorry, there was no AI there. It doesn't give AI anymore? Am I in the wrong place? Oh. It doesn't give AI anymore? Give me a break. Larry Justice with Lost Ship. Why doesn't it give AI anymore? Am I looking in the wrong one? Oh. It doesn't give you the choice anymore. It just gives you AI as the first result. I guess, and if you want it, you click on it. Looking for Larry Justice, we were. Anything at Wikipedia about Larry? The Lost Galleon. Where's Justice? Find Just Us. 1984, Treasure Found Magazine. New clues surfaced to 3 fabulous caches. Article includes a story of George going to a remote location with a friend of Larry Justice, with photos of what could be part of the ship. Story also mentions the Viking ship and a group of wildflower enthusiasts who had seen it, and a Mexican who had taken one of the shields. So there are photos that exist somewhere. Let's move on to the next topic, guys. Thank you for being. Next up is from. Oh, I didn't get the name. I think it was Eldergrown, I believe. And Eldergrown suggested Roman Dodecahedron Mystery. What were Roman dodecahedrons used for? AI overview. Smithsonian Magazine. Ooh, yes, there they are. That's a fairly large one, I think, aren't they? Here at SmithsonianMag.com, a story by Sonia Anderson. Another mysterious Roman dodecahedron has been unearthed in England. More than 100 such ancient artifacts have been found throughout Europe, but nobody knows what they are. That was pretty big, I think. I've heard theories that they were used for knitting, or seen a theory that it was used for knitting. Researchers have long been puzzled by the Roman dodecahedron. More than 100 of these strange 12-sided metal objects have been found throughout Europe, but their purpose is unclear. Now another discovery in England's countryside has reignited the mystery surrounding the ancient artifacts. 1046 is the Romans. A volunteer with the Norton Disney History Group, the Disney History Group, unearthed the dodecahedron in a Lincolnshire village of Norton Disney over the summer. The group's secretary, Richard Parker, tells Smithsonian the artifact is the find of a lifetime. That's in good condition, that one. Looks like one of the knobs broke off here. It's supposed to be a circle. It's a half moon. Dodecahedrons are one of archaeologists' greatest enigmas, he says. Our example is remarkable. It's in excellent condition, considering it's been buried 1,700 years. And complete with no damage. Bull hockey. That's damage right there. Obviously, so is that one. And that is, the caption says it was in the dig in the village of Norton Disney. So there's two imperfections there. They cannot say with no damage. Complete with no damage. They can't say no damage. There's damage. As Parker tells Live Science's Tom Metcalf, the group was performing a 2-week search for artifacts in a field where metal detectorists had previously discovered Roman coins and brooches. When the dodecahedron appeared in the excavation's final days, Parker says, quote, "We were completely surprised. The hollow grapefruit-sized object," that's a little kind of small for a grapefruit. I'd say orange. The orange-sized object is made of copper alloy. Its 12 flat sides are punctuated by circular cutouts and studs on each corner. According to the group, the discovery brings the number of dodecahedrons unearthed in Roman Britain to 33, while about 130 have been discovered throughout the Roman Empire's northwest provinces. This one stands out because it's still in one piece, while many of the others were found fragmented or damaged. It is well cast, complete with no damage, writes the group. It doesn't have no damage, people. Unless the damage is in the casting. Is that the same one? If it is, they don't show. No, that's not the same one. It says the artifact is now on display. Wait, those knobs are higher than the other knobs, are they? What they call them? They don't call them knobs. Studs, they call them. Studs on each corner. Well, these studs are smaller. And look, you have a 1, 2. You have a circle in here in the middle, and then a circle inside. So two concentric circles inside the outer one. And it looked like smaller studs here. But these studs look bigger. Wait a minute. Although that does look like the proper circle arrangement. They don't show any damage here at all in the museum photo. Of course not. It looks like it's the same one. Right? Where's the other one? Interesting. Yeah, it could be the same one. Yeah, they have identical stud formations. That one is identical to that one. So I'm going to say, yeah, that's the same one. But they don't show the damage there. Oh, that's a shadow. That's not a half moon. And that's probably a shadow too. Oh, I'm an idiot. Let's check it out close up. The half moon is just a shadow of the hand. See how it's circular like that? That's the shadow of the hand. And the other one, which I said was damaged, also is just hit by shadow on the top. Whoops. Yeah, that's just a shadow on the top of it from the hand. Okay, I stand corrected. Takes a long time to get at the truth. I want an explanation for this dodecahedron. Some dodecahedrons date to as early as the 1st century of the Common Era. However, no visual or textual references to the objects have been found in historical records. Lacking context, it has become an enduring mystery of the Roman Empire. Nobody knows for certain how the Romans used them, wrote Smithsonian Magazine's Sarah Kuta last year. Some theories are that they function as measuring devices, or calendars, or ornamental scepter toppers, or weapons or tools. The Norton Disney Group thinks most of these theories are unlikely. Parker says the piece was cast in sticky leaden metal, making it difficult to mold, and was fragile in texture. A huge amount of time, energy, and skill was taken to create our dodecahedron, so it was not used for mundane purposes, writes the group. They are not of a standard size, so will not be measuring devices. They don't show signs of wear, so they are not a tool. Unless what you're doing is knitting. I don't know what kind of marks yarn will leave on a tool, a leaden tool. Instead, the group agrees with experts who think they were used for ritualistic or religious purposes. They always go to religious purposes, as Smithsonian Magazine wrote last year. Belgium's Gallo-Roman Museum has hypothesized Romans used the objects in magical rituals, which could explain their absence from historical records. With the Roman Empire's eventual embrace of Christianity came laws forbidding magic. Practitioners would have had to keep their rituals secret. I don't know. But we've found so many of them, magic must have been practiced all over the freaking place. They found so many of them, you know. It was recently shown on BBC's show Digging for Britain. It is now on display in the nearby National Civil War Center of Newark. Okay, what are some explanations, people? We want explanations for only. Turn on the demon. I mean this thing. explanations for the Roman dodecahedrons. Here we go. Let's do the AI response. Religious objects, of course. Measuring instruments. Can't be measuring instruments unless you're... It's like an astrolabe or something, right? Measuring the sky. A display of craftsmanship. A tool for knitting. Or even a symbolic item related to Roman rituals or military practice. With some experts leaning towards magic or superstition. Well, how many other unique items have there been? Have there only been found 130 of? Maybe you could approach it from that angle. What Roman items have there been found less than 200? Let's say less than 150. Of what Roman archaeological discoveries discovered items are there less than 200? I wish it still had AI on the other page there. Maybe we can find it anyway. Where did it go? It disappeared. It was here. Go home. Type it in. Doesn't say answer with AI anymore. Where's the AI? I think they removed it from their website. They're no longer doing the AI response at the top. Maybe because it lies all the time. But Google now is. Let's Google pictures. Refresh Google. Paste. No AI summary for that. Incredible moment. Experts find 200 Roman amphorae. Out-of-place artifacts. Who really discovered America? I want explanations of the findings. Is what I want. Go back. Back. Go back. What was the purpose? At historydefined.net. We know that the towns of Pompeii and Herculaneum ended up buried under volcanic ash because Pliny the Younger wrote about Mount Vesuvius erupting in 79 AD and destroying the two settlements. Likewise, we know about the giant concrete arches that dot Italy and France, mainly because Roman authors dedicated sections of their work to the discussion of the aqueducts. Julius Sextus Frontinus, a Roman engineer, even wrote a book called On the Aqueducts. But occasionally histories are stumped by something from Roman times because there's no obvious answer for what it was. And there's no documentary material that discusses it, such as the case with the Roman dodecahedra, or dodecahedrae, plural of dodecahedron. What are Roman dodecahedra? A dodecahedron is any three-dimensional object with 12 individual flat faces. In the Roman case, these were small objects, usually measuring between 1.5 and 4.5 inches in diameter, which one can hold in their hands. They were cast from metal, typically a copper alloy. Moreover, most always had a large hole in the center of the 12 faces. The first such object was discovered in 1739 in France, but many other examples have been found since. Interestingly, you can't find these all over the former Roman Empire. Instead, you only find them in Britain, Gaul, Germania, and Noricum and Pannonia, in what is now Austria and Hungary. They are most prevalent in Roman Gaul, the region approximating modern-day France, and parts of Belgium and Switzerland. A small number of what are known as icosahedra have also been discovered. These are three-dimensional objects with 20 individual flat faces. They exist in far smaller numbers. And there's one without holes. It's got to be something that's made for the hands to manipulate easily. And the ones with the holes are easy to manipulate easily, probably with the holes, right? Also to clue you in on where you are in your work. Because here, there's two different faces on that one. And the holes on this one are three different sizes. Open image, a new tab. Thank you. Oh no, those are all the same. These faces are all identical around the middle. But right here, these holes are different sizes. And so these seem to be as well. A device for studying coins. Because we have no written records to work from, a wide range of theories have been developed to explain the role of these artifacts. One has been one of the most popular is that the Romans used dodecahedra to study coins. This theory would explain why the dodecahedra's faces have so many holes. They would place the coins in them for study of some kind. Two circumstantial pieces of evidence might support this theory. Many have been discovered as part of coin hoards in Britain, France, and elsewhere, suggesting that the Romans used them in association with coins in some fashion. Secondly, the period to which they date, between the late 2nd century and 4th century AD, was one during which successive Roman emperors began reducing the silver content of the leading Roman coins, the denarius and the sesterce, as the empire ran into grave economical, political, and social problems. All you gotta do is cut back on the silver content. They look the same, almost. Perhaps they emerged as a device that individuals used to try and gauge the silver content of individual coins, but it is unclear how they used the device to accomplish this. Others have proposed that these were astronomical devices that the Romans used to study the stars by measuring distances between celestial bodies. This might explain why the dodecahedra were seemingly unique to the parts of the empire like Britain and Gaul, which Celtic tribes had formerly ruled. Because the Celts were amazing farmers? These societies, druids, and other religious figures placed great store on astrology. So it would make sense that the dodecahedra were most commonly used here if they were astronomical devices. Decorative objects, candlesticks, or children's toys. Many other theories have emerged over the years. They found some made from gold or other precious metals outside the Roman Empire and parts of Southeast Asia and India. Consequently, some classical historians and archaeologists have speculated they were effectively decorative ornaments, the use of which either arrived in the Roman Empire from the east or were transferred from Rome to the Far East. Others still have speculated that the holes in the dodecahedra are indicative of the fact that they were used as candlestick holders. The discovery of the more rare icosahedra many of which have symbols carved on their 20 faces, suggest theirs were some kind of children's toy, or maybe a kind of dice. All these theories have points to support them, but others are against them. For example, if these were candlestick holders, why was their use seemingly confined to northwest sections of the empire? And why did some have no holes in them? Most likely answer, surveying device. The most likely answer is they were used as a surveying device. An individual could look through one of them, and if he knew how to use it, could measure how distant an object was and how long or wide it was. For people who were some of the most skilled engineers in the pre-modern world, and who were obsessed with building roads, an object of this kind would have been extremely useful. It could have then been repurposed for astrological observations, or even measuring coins. Repurposed. Moreover, the frequency with which these objects appear in Britain, Gaul, Germania, and Noricum would be explained by the fact that these parts of the empire were the least developed when Rome first conquered them. Which is why you need to knit clothes. Knit warm sweaters. Greece, Egypt, and Syria, for instance, already had abundant temples, forts, and even primitive roads after being centers of advanced civilizations for centuries. They were also warmer. So you don't need to knit sweaters. Conversely, Rome needed to develop new infrastructure across northern Europe, which might explain why they would find surviving devices more frequently there. However, even this is speculative. The reality is that, bar the unlikely chance of somebody uncovering a long list text which explains them, we may never know what they were used for. Any suggestions in the chat? In the comments. Wasn't coin shaving a problem in the Roman Empire? Could these have been used to make sure canes had not been shaved? Have you seen the primitive coins of Rome? Let's check out the primitive coins of Rome, shall we? They were like blobs, I think. That's what I'm thinking. And we'll look in images. Primitive coins of Rome. Yeah, they were like a blob of metal that was pressed into. So you can have variable sizes, right? Open image. That's like a blob of hot metal that's just been pressed into, right? So no, not much chance you could use. Excellent chance you could shave, but not much chance you could. They would be detected by a universal coin collector. That's a plausible idea, says one other one. Jill says it's for knitting gloves. I thought every historian knew this by now. Different size holes for different size fingers. Nice, or maybe gauging ring size, replies John. Lou Iglesias says they were used as hand warmers. Bits of wood or charcoal were inserted in them to keep the hand from frostbite. Most archers had them, it says here. And if you were working with cold coins, you'd need to warm up your hands, wouldn't you? Paula Tussler's first thought was dice for adults. That's why they were found with coins. Or a device for ruling out cheating on coins. Next up topic. And thank you, Eldergrown, for that topic. Much appreciated, sir. Got to grab some coffee here. Next up is from... Why do I have the chat covered up? I am so stupid. Don't do that either, please. Get the back of the chat, please. Where's the chat to go? The chat is completely gone. Not good. Is it back in here? No, that was... Oh, it's back. No, it wasn't chat. It was this. Yes. Come on. No. I just want to make it smaller. Go here then, Billy. Okay. There we go. Next up from Green Tea. And Green Tea's suggestion is predictions in this Simpsons cartoon show that have come true. AI overview not available. At least they report not available. 34 times from the 55. I'd say 55 wins it so far. 10, 17, 11. The definitive list of everything that they predicted. Well, is there more than 55? By Danny Jones. And how many did you put in the definitive list, Danny? Or DJ, as they call him. Or maybe as nobody calls him. Oh, this is a very short list. So not definitive. Where's that 55? "55 predictions from The Simpsons." The Shard, Leeson's wedding. How do I get rid of this? Is it that? X out. X out. The Simpsons traveled to London for its iconic sights. A blink and you'll miss it shot shows a familiar-looking pointy building behind Tower Bridge. There's Tower Bridge right there, I guess. Which is recognizable to many London locals and tourists who know it today as the Shard. The only issue, the Shard had not been built yet at the time the episode aired, as it would only start being constructed in 2009. Making it spot-on location and silhouette. Just a few of the weird predictions from this particular 1995 episode. So I guess it's this one right here, the big one, I guess. It doesn't say, though. A familiar-looking, pointy building behind Tower Bridge. Could it be that? I don't see any building really behind the Tower Bridge. There's there's pointy buildings, two to the left and one to the right of it. Ferret says toy poodles, making one of the most peculiar yet uncanny predictions of the series. Simpsons Season 13 episode. Papa's got a brand new badge. Prophesied a bizarre toy animal scam that occurred in Argentina. Just got to write down the Simpsons here. Got to keep track for my chapters. The episode sees Homer form his own police force with his friends in response to citywide riots that lead to Lisa's Malibu Stacy doll being stolen. One of the crimes Homer ends up stopping is Fat Tony's scheme, which sees his crooks gluing cotton balls to ferrets and selling them as pet poodles. Remarkably, in 2013, a retired man in Argentina was discovered to be doing the exact same thing in a market in Buenos Aires, selling the weasels for $150 each. The ferrets had been given steroids and groomed in order to resemble toy poodles. And that was cheaper than doing it with real poodles? I guess poodles are expensive, right? Twitter becomes X. Predicted, looks here, like 14 years ago. 2012. Ned and Edna's blended agenda transpires as Springfield learns that Ned Flanders and Edna Crabapple got married. Marge decides to throw the new couple a belated marriage party so everyone in town can celebrate, leading to Bart advising Edna to connect with Rod and Todd by tearing down the Flanders household's rigid structure and exposing them to the real world. The season 23 episode also contains a blink and you'll miss it foresight into the fate of one of the world's biggest brands in social media, which I heard is going downhill. At one point in the episode, Homer checks his smartphone and one of the apps on his dock quite clearly contains an X as its defining symbol. While the resemblance isn't quite as uncanny as some photoshopped enhanced reports would have fans believe, it is still fun to look back on as yet another monumental moment in pop culture history that The Simpsons referenced before it happened. Where is X? Was that the X right here? Really? That's the big deal? Open image in new tab. Supposedly, that's the X right here. Hopefully you guys can see it. Oh, I don't have any report over there anymore. Can I get the report back, please? Boom. Thank you so much. So that's the X. That's a stretch. It's an X and a 0 and another 0. Because you have phone, email, record voice maybe, and Twitter. I would have been more impressed if it had been on a top tab instead of a bottom tab. I tell you the truth. Mr. Freeze's terrible puns in Batman and Robin. Always defined by Mr. Freeze's terrible puns. Mr. Freeze voiced by Arnold Schwarzenegger, evidently. While it was an exaggerated sign of the corniness of the times, it was also a laughably bad disaster that no one could have preempted. Season 4 episode Last Exit to Springfield opens with the Simpsons at the movies watching one of McBain's cheesy action blockbusters, which features a scene in which his heroic lead infiltrates a meeting in an ice statue before bursting out and saying, "Ice to see you," before gunning them down. Years later, it would prove to be a direct prediction of one of the worst major movies of all time. I didn't think it was that bad. Ice to see you. Bloody billboards. A hilarious exaggeration of cartoon violence, particularly pointed towards series like Tom and Jerry. The Simpsons' Itchy and Scratchy Show stands as one of the show's most shocking and hilarious ongoing gags. In a season 4 episode number 6, Bart Simpson is punished for his bad behavior and negligence with Homer refusing to let him see the episode's title film, The Itchy and Scratchy Show. As part of the marketing for the cartoon movie, a billboard is established in Springfield that sees Scratchy being decapitated, with blood spraying from the poster. And what's the method of decapitation? Oh, it's, which one's Itchy and which one's Scratchy? Tom and Jerry. So I guess Scratchy is the mouse. Open image, a new tab. With what is he being decapitated, or has he been decapitated? Well, it's being held by Scratchy. Itchy is the cat, corrects Kenga Kong. Thank you, Kenga. Scratchy's holding the, Kenga says, I think. Taco says the X was to zero out Twitter. Good one, Taco. Oh, looks like a movie camera, Elder notes. Thank you. Thank you, Elder. And with a movie camera, and there's a crank on the side of the movie camera. Definitely a movie camera, because there's the crank. Good call, Elder. Elder, we miss you on Twitch, by the way. Come back over to Twitch. That's hilarious. But that's a decapitation, supposedly, I guess, because the head is so low, I guess. Not immediately obvious why a camera in front of his head or on top of his head would decapitate him. But maybe he's just bleeding from the jugular vein or something. As part of the marketing cartoon, what really happened with the bloody? The gag was as crudely humorous as was realistically impractical. At least what many would have initially thought. But as part of the promotion for Quentin Tarantino's revenge thriller Kill Bill, an advertisement in New Zealand saw the bride, Uma Thurman, posing with her sword as blood sprayed from her blade and beyond the margins of the billboard, covering the wall and the street. Okay, I got to see this advertisement. Copy that. And what can we get rid of here? We can get rid of that and this and this and this and this and this. And that can go and that can go and this can go and let's go here home. And I don't know what I said, but was it this? Yeah, I have to do in pictures though. Pictures. There it is. An advert in Auckland. Wow. Oh my goodness. Is that a good size picture? It is not. How about this one? Even worse. How about this one? I'm looking for resolutions here, people. How about this one? Not too good. How about this one? Not too good. How about this one? Forget it. How about this one? They all seem to be the same one. That's fairly large. Let's look at this one. Open image. Yeah, this is good res here. Yeah, but that's like artwork, right? That's artwork. Which they probably commissioned to be sprayed on the car, right? Whoops. That's not active spray. That's just part of the artwork. It's hilarious. America wins gold medal in curling. And we're about to win it sooner or later, right? Boy meets girl. I love curling, by the way. Love curling. Can watch it for hours. Everyone loves an underdog story. And the Simpsons were able to predict the most unlikely of tales in 2010. In an episode centering on Homer and Marge, as their search for a fun date takes them to the winter sport of curling. Teaming up with Agnes and Seymour Skinner, they are brought into the U.S. Olympics team for the sport and embark on an incredible run to win gold. While the episode was released in conjunction with the 2010 Winter Olympics in Canada, it would be 8 years later the prediction would come true when America took home the gold at the 2000 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang. Like in Boy Meets Girl, the Americans had to topple Sweden to emerge victorious. Like I said, eventually it was bound to happen, right? J.C. Penney files for bankruptcy. That's kind of easy to predict, right? Any brick and mortar retail business that was actually built on a catalog retail business was bound to file for bankruptcy sooner or later, right? Green Tea says this guy has some Simpsons predictions. Thank you, Green Tea. Eldergone says there was a suggestion from YouTube. Children who claim they died on 9/11. Did that billboard really eject red fluid? Kanga Kong, I don't believe so. I believe that was just painting. That was just painted there. And painted on the cars, too. And the street. In my belief, anyway. So Penny's pretty easy to predict. 13 years before they did file for bankruptcy. Ebola outbreak. A 1990 side episode when the show had been on for 9 years. The episode called Lisa's Sax, which told the story of Lisa's love for the musical instrument. In one scene, Bart is shown sick and feeling down, so Marge attempts to cheer him up by reading a strangely titled book entitled Curious George and the Ebola Virus. A strange narrative choice considering Ebola would not be widely known until the outbreak 3 years later, and then again in 2014. The Ebola outbreak made in 2000 made headlines for claiming the lives of just over 250 people in the Republic of Congo and 224 more in Uganda. It's bizarre to see the disease featured on The Simpsons, as it was relatively unknown when the episode premiered. Genius, absolute genius. Ebola virus in a monkey. Which is where it originated, supposedly, right? Barbie Mania. Lisa versus Malibu Stacy. That probably is easy to predict. Donald Trump being arrested. I dare not go political. The Kamala Harris presidential run. I had to think how to pronounce it for a second. Robot says librarians. Robot says librarians, huh? It would make sense that Lisa's wedding, an episode that's essentially a flash forward into the future, would have many Simpsons predictions. It's centered on Lisa's experience with a fortune teller, who predicts she will fall in love and marry an upper-crust Englishman named Hugh Parkfield, who will she meet at her future university. In that future, librarians will have been replaced with robots. In 2016, some brilliant Aberystwyth University students did exactly that by building a prototype for a library robot that can walk around and assist people. The robot's name might sound familiar, as it's also called Hugh. Hugh's job is to listen to a person's request, find the book, and take them there. With recent advancements in robotics, it's safe to assume this will be a reality for many libraries around the world. soon enough, if the library can afford to hire a robot and maintain it. I don't know. I think that's one job that may be safe. Herman Cain's political slogan. What is it? A satirical spin on Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, I'm not going to do that one. It's too political. We need a leader. It starts. Okay. Next up, we got to move on. Because next up is a suggestion from Oh No, It's Taco, which I find usually to be excellent. Elder says, except nobody uses libraries anymore. Next up from Oh No, It's Taco. Where is Tabitha Tuders? Lovely. I've been thinking we should do something where we should take one of these and do a whole show on one of these. But only if there's a reward. Let's do and see if we can get the reward. That's what I'm thinking. I gotta write down my reward idea. Reward show. No, so it is 11:31. We're going to Tuders. Tabby Tuders, Tab Tuders. Okay. Elder Gross says in the year 2525, sung by Yeager and Evans, is it? Yeager and Evans? Who sang 2525? If man is still alive, says Bad Wolf. Bad Wolf says nobody uses toilets anymore in 2050. Oh, you're most welcome, Taco. Librarian Bill, says RXTV. Sager and Evans, not Yeager. Sager and Evans did 2525. All right. Let's see. FBI.gov. Let's start at the FBI.gov. What the hell? It's under Most Wanted. Tabitha Daniel Tuders from Nashville, Tennessee. Missing person. Most Wanted missing persons, I guess. Download poster. Can we just look at the poster? View poster. Date of birth, 1990. Hair, sandy blonde. Photo aged, progressed to 19 years over here. She looks like someone on Friends. Not a funny remark, Bill. Not a funny topic. Height 5'1" at time of her disappearance. Disappeared at age 13. Eyes blue, weight 100 pounds at the time of her disappearance. Reward, up to $50,000, offered by the FBI. Okay, we got to solve this, people. Elder Gross says, I guess they lump missing persons and most wanted under the same tab. It is kind of odd, isn't it? Kenga Kong says, people who are homeless use libraries. I did this when I was living in my car for almost 2 months. Salt Lake City had great libraries. The voice of experience. Thank you, Kenga. Taco would love to see me get the reward. Thank you, Taco. Okay, let's get started. $50K by the FBI. Remarks. Tuders has a birthmark on her tummy and a scar on her finger. Both of her ears are pierced. She was last seen early on the morning of April 29, 2003, at her residence in Nashville. She left the house on her way to board the school bus, but never got on the bus and did not arrive at school. She has not been seen nor heard from since this time. Submit a tip. Long time ago. 2003, 1990 was the disappearance. No, 2003 was the disappearance. So, I guess what you could do is see if there were any witnesses along the route, right? But a witness list 21 years old, I don't know how much good that would do you. We could ostensibly find out where the school bus stop is. If they have the same stops as they did 21 years ago. Let's get more details. Oh, this is all the details they have at the FBI? That's it? I guess that's all we need? No way. We need more than that. Family wants closure. From this year. And a story by Stephanie Langston. Guilt is hard to live by. It appears at WKRN.com. Family prays for closure in Tabitha Tuders' disappearance. Nashville, Tennessee, WKRN. The teen at the center of one of Nashville's most high-profile cold cases would now be 34 years old. February 14th marks the day Tabitha Tuders was born, a day that brings a flood of emotions to her family. We're just hoping that she comes back home, Tabitha's father, Bo Tuders, told News 2. It's a hope that's never faded. Although tattered, a sign still hangs outside their home on Lillian Street in East Nashville. It's the same home the teen left in 2003 as she headed for the school bus stop. Witnesses reported that Tabitha was last seen a couple of blocks away on Boscobel Street, or Boscobel Street, or Boscobel Street. Bo recounted, "I woke Tabitha up, told her I loved her and I'd see her this evening," she said. She responded, "Okay, Daddy, I love you." Tabitha never returned. With her family's quaint home becoming the center of national attention, the search was on. "It's mind-boggling," said her father. The family was initially flooded by tips that turned up empty. "It's just been a roller coaster ride." It's a roller coaster ride that hasn't stopped. In 2020, detectives searched property in Hickman County, reportedly tied to a person of interest in Tabitha's disappearance. The tip, however, turned up unfounded. A new detective was assigned to the case in 2021, and a new age progression photo was released the next year. The last time we saw her, she was 13 years old. "It's hard for us to get that image out of mind," said Bo. As of Wednesday, February 14th, this little girl will be 34 years old. There's somebody out there that knows what happened. Guilt is hard to live with. What if you searched nearby the unsolved, if a body was found nearby, like in a town nearby or something like that, do you still get the reward if it's only a body? What a gruesome question, Bill. Let's find out. For information leading to the recovery of Tabitha Tuders and prosecution of persons responsible for her disappearance. And it doesn't say or. And the prosecution. That's worth $25. Bad Wolf says Bill is going to hire a private detective and charge Zelensky for it. No politics, please, Bad Wolf. Eldergrown says the FBI is probably not allowed to disclose more information. Right. Bad Wolf says CSI Night Terrors. Sad, says RX-TV. How true. Thank you, RX, for reminding us. There's got to be more details than this. Oh, more stuff from her family. The family is praying someone comes forward with a lead that will break the case. Her father explained he knows where she's at and he knows what happened to her too. If I don't see her here, I'll see her when I get up there. Or he'll let me know what happened to her. Tabitha has a birthmark on her tummy and a scar on her finger. The FBI is offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to an arrest in Tabitha's case. So it has to lead to an arrest, I guess. What year did she go missing? Asked Kenga Kong. That year would be 2003, only 21 years ago. There's got to be more details somewhere. It'd be cool if the family set up a website, you know? Here's the new image. That's supposed to be the 35-year-old right here. That does look like a good 35-year-old pic right there, right? Come on. That's 35. Where do we go? Forward. 1 out of 5, it says. Caption. There's no way to progress on the pictures. Click does nothing. View thumbnails. Yes, please. What the heck? That looks like an older image right there than the one we saw before. The 19-year-old image. Is it? Yeah, that's different than the one progressed 19 years. Which looks 30-ish as well, like, now come to think of it. Okay, more details, people. Unsolved on a news station. They don't give too many details on news stations. News. Unsolved Mysteries Wiki. Reddit. 1 day ago, there was a comment on Reddit. One neighbor saw her heading towards school, but a neighborhood boy said he saw her getting into a red car 30 to 40 yards from where she was last seen. Tracking dogs followed her scent along her route and then veered off to an alley from where she was seen getting into the red car. On August the 19th, 5 months after Tabitha's disappearance, an 11-year-old girl named Heaven Ross disappeared in the morning hours on her way to school in Northport, Alabama. Authorities believe both Tabitha's and Heaven's cases are connected. Unfortunately, Heaven's remains were found in Holt, Alabama, 3 years after she disappeared. Description of the car has varied from a Volkswagen Bug to a Ford Mustang, and the color could be red or green. In a February 2020 interview, Detective Stephen Jolly told News 2. This comment by Without a Trace, by the way, at Reddit. That from the beginning, many tips have suggested Tabitha may have been drugged and forced into what do they call that? What's a polite way to say that? The world's oldest profession. Tips have also pointed to several potential suspects, including a man who was known in the East Nashville area and who was serving a lengthy sentence in federal prison. However, no one has been charged in the case. The poster writes, oh, actually, it's AstroCat is the poster. AstroCat 5677. The subreddit is without a trace. And AstroCat continues, I strongly believe that Tabitha is still out there, alive, because they haven't found her school bag or anything. Some witnesses out there have had to see what the suspect who was in her car looked like, or license plates. Good luck on that. Another of my theories are she could be, again, working in the world's oldest profession somewhere, or she could have been unalived and buried in the yard of the person's house along with her things. I don't know if the suspect or suspects have had more because they've never been identified, writes the author. Quote, I strongly believe she is out there living under her new name and new identity and was probably brainwashed. Brainwashed at age 13? I don't know how easy it would be to do that. So she doesn't know she's missing. She was 13 when she went missing, I think. The picture quality is so bad, says Good Half. I ran it through an AI image enhancer. Our missing persons flyer is here. Someone does the missing persons flyer. RxTV suggests a serial unaliver, no doubt. Well, those are some details we didn't know before. We also the other girl being found. Unsolved on Yahoo. Another news story. The Charlie Project listing Tabitha. Well, I'm zooming from coffee now. Here's Tabitha with all her pictures. Yeah, she was 13 years old when she disappeared. Age progressed to 34 right here. Tabitha last seen at 7 a.m. when her family woke her up in their home on the 1300 block of Lillian Street in Nashville, Tennessee. She was watching television when her father went to work. She was supposed to board the school bus at 8 a.m. at 14th and Boscobel Streets. Witnesses saw her walking in that direction. She was reading some papers as she walked and didn't appear to be in a hurry or looking for anyone. Tabitha did not get on the bus and never arrived at Bailey Middle School, 2 miles away. Her parents contacted the school that evening when she failed to return home. When they found she had been absent from school that day, and how heartbreaking. They reported her missing shortly before 6 p.m. She did not have a history of a runaway. She was a straight-A student with a perfect attendance record, active in the choir, and with no evidence she had a boyfriend. She was supposed to go visit Six Flags of America amusement park 2 weeks after she disappeared and was very excited about the trip. She left behind all her possessions, including clothes, makeup, and $20 in cash. Authorities initially treated Tabitha as a runaway due to her age, but now believe she was abducted. Her parents and 2 adult siblings were all investigated, and none are being called suspects. A neighborhood boy told police she saw Tabitha get into a red car with a man on the morning of her disappearance. He describes the man as wearing a baseball cap. The witness stated once Tabitha was inside the vehicle, it reversed course and headed back up the hill. The boy's story has not been confirmed, and some investigators doubt his credibility, but tracker dogs traced Tabitha's scent along a route similar to the one described by the boy. The dogs traced her scent into an alley, a place Tabitha's friends say she never would have gone alone. Tabitha's sister's former boyfriend matches the description of the driver. He drove a red car, and he knew where and when Tabitha took the bus to school each morning. But police have never been able to connect him to her disappearance. Her parents stated they did not believe she would have willingly gotten into a car with anyone other than a family member. All the tips are here, people. Allegedly, that guy was supposed it was the first disappearance that occurred, and when he found out he could get away with it, the second one was this other girl, allegedly. Suppose that happened. It's the first time we got that juicy detail. A piece of paper found in Tabitha's room after her disappearance may have a connection to the case. Her paper reads, in Tabitha's handwriting, TDT and MIL. TDT are Tabitha's initials. The initials of the other person are unknown. They couldn't pick up a yearbook and find out? MTL? Also found was a business card with Tabitha's name, address, phone number, and the notation, call me, and sexy girl, the latter of which was crossed out and rewritten as ghetto girl. The card turned out to have been given to Tabitha by a friend, though, and had no connection to her disappearance. Police searched the logs of a computer at the local police library. Where Tabitha is said to have visited internet chat rooms, but turned up no information pertaining to her disappearance. A man who was arrested for trying to lure an 11-year-old girl into his car 4 months after Tabitha's disappearance was looked at as a person of interest in her case because of the nature of the crime he is charged with, and because the alleged incident happened just a few blocks from Tabitha's home. But there was no evidence connecting the man and Tabitha, and he was eventually taken off the suspect list. And on October the 30th in 2003, a trucker reported a possible sighting of Tabitha from Linton, Indiana. The trucker saw a girl accompanied by a man and another teenage girl. The girl who looked like Tabitha appeared to be anxious and afraid. Later, when he saw a missing persons flyer, he realized she remembered the girl he'd seen. She resembled the girl he'd seen. And he contacted the police. A hotel clerk in Linton also saw a girl resembling Tabitha, with a man and a teenage girl, and reported it. These sightings have not been confirmed. Maybe get those police reports. 5 months after Tabitha's disappearance, an 11-year-old girl named Heaven Ross disappeared on her way to school in Northport, Alabama. Her remains were found in Holt, Alabama, 3 years after her disappearance. So again, the crime with Heaven occurred after the crime with Tabitha. And the guy still remains uncaught. Like Tabitha, Ross had... Wait. Who was Ross? Oh, like Tabitha. Heaven Ross. Like Tabitha, Heaven Ross had light-colored hair and disappeared in the morning hours on the way to school. Authorities are... Help me look for my dog. Authorities are considering a possible connection between the girls' cases. Though the distance between Nashville and Northport is great, and so far no evidence has been uncovered to link the two cases. How great is the distance between Nashville and Northport? in Alabama? Tell us. Copy that. That's only pictures. In Alabama, what is the distance between these two? 3.5 hours. That's a long way to drive. Yeah, that's not his neighborhood. Or maybe it was a traveling serial on a liver. Like someone with a truck route or something like that. That's a long ways away, 3.5 hours. Boy, Alabama's pretty big. Can we go to Alabama from here? Yeah. Can we X this out? Now, how do we X out of that? Okay. Minus. Alabama. So Alabama is, oh, I see. So it's really, really big up and down and kind of skinny east and west compared to New York State. Yeah, that's a long drive. Almost as long as New York State is. That's a long drive. Okay, guys, don't forget this coming Wednesday. Where is the thing? There's the thing. Gotcha Man will be hosting the double feature, Beat the Devil, and 7 Days in May. If you ever saw Beat the Devil before, it was probably the hacked up studio version. This is the restored version, professionally restored version. And hopefully we'll now be able to make sense of the plot. That's the first one. Second movie being 7 Days in May, with Kirk Douglas and oh, I can't think of the other guy, Burt Lancaster. You don't want to miss that one either. The apocalyptic, futuristic story of the U.S. where the military threatens to take over the government. Verpine, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated, sir. Thank you, sir, so much. And thank you for your for being here as well at the show. So until this coming Wednesday, may God bless and protect you all.